Yeah, I'm using Rangy's favorite word. Okay, motherfucker.
And we online, motherfuckers. So
what's up? What's up? Yo, this is Nate.
Started.
Yo, this is Nate. I am King with Bros Uncut. We got the 94 Bros in the building. We got Damon Thomas. What's up, D?
Yo, what up? What up? I'm just tripping off all this stuff that we done missed because Karanji wasn't recording the pre-show and everything. So I know we definitely should have had that, going on. But we here, we in the house.
What up, though? What up, though? Hey, what up, though, Willie So-So?
What up, man? Hey, man, I'm not going to give the listeners an earful. I'm just going to say I'm here now. That's all I'm going to say. I'm here.
Hey, and we hear you loud and clear.
Hey, loud.
Loud. Just loud.
Hey, what up, though, Karanji?
We hear you loud.
Karanji, what up, though? Hey, man, you can take it off mute.
What up, though? I had it on mute. I'm trying to follow my fucking rules up in here.
Hey, man, put it back on mute.
Hey, man. Somebody trying to see that. Yo,
it's all good, man. Mute it on out. Go ahead and mute it out, man.
Hey, Link. What up, though, Link?
What's up, family? How y'all doing, man? I'm in trouble once again for wearing these New York shirts, man. Right. They mad at me.
Sad,
man. They pissed off.
Detroit. Probably
they pissed
New York
off.
Giants game wearing motherfucking New York Knicks t-shirt.
Hey, and last but not least, TJ. What up, though?
What up, though? I mean,
yo,
D, man, can we get a video or what's going on, man? D,
what you got going on back there, D? What you hiding?
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Here we go.
Okay.
We're in the building, man. Let's get it started, Nate. What's up, baby?
All right. Yo, again, Bros Uncut. This is where you get the unfiltered, unadulterated, unapologetic, uncut view from these six brothers. Yo, so we like to start the show off with trending topics. So we're going to start out with a little lightheartedness. One of the things that just came out the blue was Faith and Stevie J. Yo, what y'all think of that?
Hey, I'm going to start off by saying let's get straight to it. I'm going to say this. I am all for us putting this topic in the I don't give a fuck files. Yeah, I'm all for it.
On that shit, nigga.
I'm all for that.
Wow.
I just want that to be very, very clear. But to make it a point of relevance, I just want to speak to the issue of Stevie J. For at least the past 10 years, Stevie J has been sort of kind of like a dude that has been the representative in the media anyway, as what the general black man thinks, feels, or is. And I just want to go on record as saying that scumbag motherfucker is not the general consensus of what the black man is. I just want to say that. And after that, now that I've said that, y'all can do with it what y'all want to do.
Hold up. Where did you get that from? I have never had Stevie J be the representative of me.
Wow.
Ever. I never thought.
Wow.
Exactly. I don't know where that came from.
Like, gigolo, making lots of dough. That's what it's like a gigolo and shit. That's what it seems like.
Hey, listen, I dig it. And if you want to know where I got that from, I'm going to tell you where I got it from. If you just happen to take a general peruse of social media and reality TV, as far as black men are concerned, Stevie J is, I won't say he's the only one, but he's one of a very few that the outside world take as consensus-wise a view of what the black man is. And it's unfortunate because he is not representative in general of what the black man is.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the point that I'm
name
making.
about 100 other black men that
I never thought
that are more
J.
relevant than Stevie J that people will use as an example as opposed to Stevie J. Nobody ain't checking for Stevie J.
Nobody checks Stevie J, man. I think if you was to ask,
I don't know if that's true, y'all. I don't know if that's true.
If we was to ask 100 black women, they would not say Stevie J, bro.
I don't know if that's true.
They would not. I don't think they would use. They would not. I think you would have a lot of other men come before him. You would have a man from Black Panther come before him. You have fucking Denzel come before him.
Nah.
Way more brothers come before him that they see as black men.
I would love to do that poll. I would love to do that poll. And TJ, you just hit the nail on the head. Among the millennials, not and fellas, brothers, let me be very, very clear. I am not trying to put Stevie J on any kind of pedestal. Fuck Stevie J. I swear to God, fuck him. But I just want to say this. When it comes down to reality TV and imagery, somehow or another, this dirtbag winds up being in the conversation. And I don't understand how or why, but he is in the conversation. And that's the only reason I bring it up.
I gotta take a slider. I mean, I don't know Stevie J. I wish him all the best with Faith. I wish Faith all the best. I don't know. I don't watch reality TV, so I don't know the dude to call him a dirtbag. I just think he's just a dude doing him, whatever that is. So for me, we both in the Diddy files.
Let me try.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Let me chime in on this just real quick. For a person who pays attention to hip hop and also social media and also pop culture, this kind of came out the blue to me. Like I was a little bit shocked. I was really shocked. And I can't say that I don't care. Faith, I've been watching her career. Stevie J, I'm big on the back. He's one of the hitmen. I'm big on his producer catalog and history. I know he's been doing a reality TV
and we got to
show,
talk about him because the brother is relevant, right?
Well, okay, so wait a minute. I just want to speak on the marriage real quick because I'll let you deal with whether he's relevant or not. But here's the thing. He's been linked on them shows to two women, and neither one of them is Faith. And like this whole thing, they popped up in Vegas with a marriage license, atting each other on social media. And it was really like, more than anything, it's a shock. But you know what? They got bad boy history. You know what I'm saying? They both come from
both of them, right?
Bad Boy, yep, because she was signed to the label and he was one of the producers on the label. And Stevie J done been with many, many women, connected to many, many women. And it's kind of odd that Faith would marry him and that the other women he was connected to, he didn't marry them, even though he'd been messing around with them for a while very publicly. And Faith kind of brings Biggie's family and legacy kind of into this a little bit too. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Well, just to piggyback off of what Link just said, I wouldn't say that I don't see why Faith would, get married to him or anything like that, because it's my understanding that they had been kicking it for a minute, and considering, and not saying that anything's right or wrong with this, but considering how Faith and Biggie got married, that was like a spur of the moment type thing too. Now, so that may be part of her character. That's just how she get down. She fall in love or whatever quickly, and just is willing to jump out the window with it.
All right, I think.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Go ahead, Nate. No, I mean, regardless of the spur of the moment of it, that's not really. I don't really. I mean, to put a finer point on it, I don't give a fuck about the spur of the moment of it. I don't care about that. What I do care about, with regards to this particular issue is the track record of, say, a Stevie J, and how his persona, his image is sort of kind of what winds up being a litmus test for how black men are.
I don't know where
Because
you. What,
however we feel about, well, listen,
You gotta get all
well,
this.
listen, just listen to me, just hear me out,
Stevie J.
just feel me, just feel me out on what I'm saying.
We already heard
However we feel about his relevance, however we feel about his relevance, however we feel about his pertinence, has been in the media. I mean, and widespread for at least the past 20 years. And his persona, his movements in the media may help shape how some people view black men in general. That's the only thing I'm saying. Other than that, I don't care about it. Other than that, I don't care.
You talking long for somebody that don't care. I'm just saying.
Hey,
No, I had to get my point out because y'all's about to kill me over this point, Link. I had to get my point out. So now I got it out. What y'all got to say?
Well,
we ain't got nothing to say. We're moving on.
I don't give a fuck.
I'm about to say it's time to move on to the next topic. All right, so
okay. Well, I think we got the I don't give a fuck files covered. Nate, what we doing?
We're moving on.
Next.
If you let them.
Okay, I'm shutting the fuck up now. Here we go.
Let's talk Tekashi 6ix9ine. Yo, so apparently he was just kidnapped, pistol whipped, robbed. Yo, I don't know. Have y'all heard about that?
I have.
About who?
Tekashi
6ix9ine.
Who the fuck is that?
I'm gonna say again. Who?
I know who you talking about. The guy that look like Rainbow Bright, but he's a rapper and he's staying beef with people.
Not Rainbow Bright.
Yeah, he look just like a male Rainbow.
So can we refer to him from now on as Rainbow Bright?
Well, we can refer to him as.
I prefer I prefer that we refer to him as Rainbow Bright.
We cannot refer to him at all. How about that one? No, but I got something to say about that. No, I got something to say about that. And this kind of wraps in the.
Listen, Link, go ahead and say what you got to say, fam. Because as soon as you done, I'm putting this in the I don't give a fuck file. But go ahead.
And I'm closing the door. I'm closing the door on it.
What happened to you, man? Where you go? You getting arrested? Where you at?
Maybe he getting kidnapped and pistol whipped like Tekashi. Maybe he getting kidnapped and pistol whipped. But Link, go ahead. Say what you got to say, man.
Stay focused, nigga. Focus.
All right, so look, this is what I'm going to say about that. When I heard that XXX Tentacion, who I mixed these two people up in my mind because I'm not a millennial and I really don't listen to any of their music, probably wouldn't like none of their music, but when I heard he had got killed, I thought he actually was Tekashi 6ix9ine because Tekashi 6ix9ine has been publicly beefing with several different people in Chicago. He's from New York, I think. Guys in a lot of them drill rappers and dudes who have a real street background. He even went to some people's neighborhoods and faked like he was there at 10 o'clock and they was nowhere around, but it really was ended up being like 3:44 at night. But to see this guy got pistol whipped and robbed and all that, to me, makes perfect sense. I'm surprised he isn't dead or gotten killed yet. And I hate to say that about the brother, but he really talks a lot of shit and really beefs and goes to the next level with several different people, man.
Yeah, really, he hasn't come.
Yeah, and you know what?
A lot worse is bound to happen. Like, I don't wish bad upon nobody like that, but his mouth is really getting him into some shit that he ain't gonna be able to get out of eventually. And that's gonna be the
and you know what?
Damon, turn up your
the killer part about it is.
Hey, damn, I think your Bluetooth phone ain't working that good, bro. You probably need to be on the regular speaker, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
I
got
hear you good now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you. You just a little low. But
Yeah.
I heard what Damon was saying. To his point, I'm gonna say this, man. It seems like that's sort of kind of a trend now, you know, and it's the type of thing that we're not used to for those of us that are older and true hip hop heads, because social media has taken hip hop to a place that I don't think that it necessarily needs to be. You know, these cats they wolfing on Twitter, they hollering on Facebook and X, Y, and Z, and this is the type of stuff that is causing them to, you know, wind up in these situations that they wind up in.
Now, I don't know
And
what you
they,
mean by that. I don't know what you mean by
above
that,
all,
Hangover.
they're not about that life.
But what you mean by this is something that the new generation and Twitter and all, we've been dealing with this ever since it's been hip hop. People beefing and turning into real
But it's
situations,
not as
maybe in a less
prevalent though.
known. No,
Well,
Biggie
Yeah,
Tupac.
but it's not as
What you
prevalent
talking?
though.
no, hold
Biggie
on.
Tupac is
Yeah, no doubt. I
No, it
get
was
what you're
all
saying, Link,
man.
but it's not as prevalent though.
No,
This
man, it was definitely prevalent, but the difference is you got social media, and so a lot of beefs get played out
exactly.
on social media, and it wasn't that way 15, 20 years ago.
But
So
that didn't make it any more or less
Amen.
dangerous. It was.
no,
It might have
it
been
was
more
more.
dangerous in the past.
I would say
Now,
it's more dangerous in the past than
now,
it is.
yeah, and I agree with Nate 100%. It's way more dangerous now because the accessibility, the fact that more people who are literally fanatical about what it is that we're talking about, for them to take this or that out of context, it's way more dangerous. But in that same vein, I think what makes it even more dangerous is the fact that there are artists like, say, Tekashi 6ix9ine, who are playing on the fact that social media is prevalent and integral into their success. They're playing on that. Tekashi 6ix9ine is nowhere if not for social media. Tupac didn't have that situation to deal with. Biggie didn't have that situation to deal with. No artist that we legendary had to deal with the issue of social media to bolster their fame or legendary status. Nowadays,
I think that
you gotta be in those streets from a social media standpoint to like really be doing something.
I think that nowadays, you know, again, it's more publicized because you got Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all that
Absolutely.
stuff. But I think that it was just as dangerous in the 90s. I mean, like I just saw a story about one of the dudes from third base had a hit out on them from Hammer because they said something
Yeah.
crazy, and Hammer took it like they was talking about his mom.
What we think
So-
about Hammer?
Yeah,
Exactly.
no doubt. And
So-
you're 100% right, Nate.
Just hip-hop, man.
But the severity of it, the severity of it was a little bit different back then. I heard that same story. I heard that same story like a year and a half ago.
You can't
But
get no
the
more
severity
serious
of it-
than you can't get no more severe than a hit.
I think the difference was back in those days, people wasn't really playing no games. Like you was getting killed for real. Like it was no games. Like okay, we gonna talk about it and argue and fuss. It was going down. The new generation is kind of like more bitch-like. They more like have a lot of feminine traits. They might
Wow.
back and forth a lot. And they're not really about that life. I think like
For lack of a better way of saying it, I agree.
it was about that life.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. Karanji, I
Karanji,
agree with you. And y'all know this because me and Karanji don't agree on nothing.
Hold on
Me
one
and
second.
Karanji don't agree on a damn thing.
Hold on, Hank.
But I agree with Karanji 100% on that.
Hank lit. Hey Hank, hold on 1 minute. Hey Karanji, your voice, you sound like you calling in or something. Your audio.
All right, he just
He muted himself. Okay, well.
All right, well that's cool because it's time to move on, and this is
Okay, is that better? Is that better
yeah,
now?
yeah,
that
but we're
sounds a lot
moving
better.
on to the next topic. TJ, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right,
TJ
TJ, we're gonna talk about something that you would like to talk about. The Kiki dance. Yo, I'm not well versed in it.
I thought y'all knew something about this.
I don't know nothing about it. I just saw it on my news feed and I was
Your
like,
kids
what?
ain't doing it.
Who is Kiki? Nah,
Your
my kids
ain't.
I know a little bit about it.
Well, y'all go ahead, bro.
Yo, man,
I'm finna mute myself. Y'all go ahead and talk about it.
I love coming on this podcast, man, because I feel like, I feel very important on this motherfucker. Like, I love info and shit. I feel like I'm, relevant. I feel like I know what's going on. Hey, man, I like this shit. Oh, as far as the Kiki dance, what it is Drake dropped a new album called Scorpion, right? And one of the major songs on it is called In My Feelings. So the In My Feelings song starts off with, Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? Da, 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 da. And what happened was a guy on social media named Shiggy he started making, he recorded himself doing a dance to that song. You know what I mean? Kiki, he had like for every time he said something, he did a little something with his hands, and it got it ran viral. So with a bunch of different people started making their versions of it, and it became the Shiggy challenge. Like if you go hashtag Shiggy challenge, you'll see all the different versions. And the biggest thing was, Sierra did one that a lot of people liked. There was one Diplo did, but the biggest one was Will Smith. He actually turned into a production, like Damon Thomas style. He went and got the drone. He went and got on top of a bridge illegally, and then had the drone filming this. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, this is serious, dude.
Wait, you said Damon Thomas style. Let's just pause right there. 1116 Media. Let's just pause right there. Yo,
shameless plug.
1116 Media. Everybody say it. 1116 Media. Let's just stay there right there. Yeah.
Hold up.
I'm going back on mute right now.
Hold on, Damon, put a video up, man. What you?
As a spokesperson for 1116 Media, I wanted to say that we have nothing to do with anything related to a Shiggy dance or Kiki or anything like that.
Not yet.
That's an official statement.
Not yet.
Yo, D, we trying to get you some promo, baby.
Excuse me. If the right person called 1116 Media, will have everything to do with a Shiggy challenge.
Exactly. D, we doing promo right now, baby. We doing promo, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know about the story, so Link, continue.
No, I'm finished. That's it. The dance called Fire. The song is very popular, called In My Feelings by Drake,
Hey, Damon put it in the IDGAF files.
Hey, that's what it is. But I will say this, for social media and money, Drake really monetized. If it wasn't, see what it was Shiggy made the song blow up. The Shiggy challenge blew the song up to the point of 2 million. 2 million streams or something like that. 2 million streams downloaded, something along those lines. So that's monetization.
The social media game is big. You get people to come out of everywhere and make up the craziest shit. But just because they're being seen and they got them hits, that's what make it popular. That's popular culture right now.
Go ahead, Karanji.
Link, how the fuck did you know all this shit?
Well, sir, I'm in the hip hop. I'm a former. Excuse me, you asked me a question. I'm in the hip hop. I blog. I am on social media. I have a strong following on Facebook. I'm into hip hop. I keep abreast of things, and I'm relevant. And I got my ear to the ground. This is something you should try.
And just for the
Try
record,
that.
If from what I'm understanding, it's not even like something that you got to dig for to find out. Drake dropped quarter mil on Shiggy for that, right?
Now,
that's like
that
common knowledge.
I did not know that. I just know they met up and they, shook hands, got a picture with them meeting up, and I didn't know he dropped that money on them.
As far as I'm understanding, he dropped $250K on him for that.
I mean, he needed to. The man get you 2 million streams. That's money. That's double platinum on one.
No doubt.
Dances tonight.
No doubt. TJ, say that again, baby.
TJ got the tiggy. He got the tiggy dance.
Yeah, man.
I'm taking recommendations.
The truth of the matter
is,
Hey, TJ, you adding that to your dance classes?
Repertoire. That actual dance right there? No.
Yeah.
See, what needs to happen is you need some dance crazes for grown folks. All that stuff is for the kids. But grown folks doing it because they ain't got nothing else to do.
But that's a lot of them hustles. A lot of them hustles cover is a.
And you real about that, TJ? That's real talk. TJ, look. Here's what I need you to do right now, my baby. Go ahead, shout out your whole situation, because you might be the next one to get $250K dropped on you, baby.
I need it.
Go ahead, shout your shit out.
One step above in the building, Detroit Ballroom Hustles and Chicago Stepping. We teach them from 6 to 86. Dumb, lame, and blind.
Blind, crippled,
my
man.
There you go.
TJ.
What up?
Do your boy, Mr. Smooth be coming down there sometimes? I heard he come down there sometimes.
Yeah, Mr. Smooth, that's my people. I got connections to all the dance, the major ones in Detroit. They dancing on every corner in the D.
I gave him a song he actually playing. I'm gonna have to shoot the song to you too. He loved one of my
you should have shot the song to me first.
Oops.
There you go. There it is. Whoop, there it is.
I didn't know you did shit like that. I didn't know you was doing the ballroom and hustle shit, man.
Yeah, man.
You didn't know what?
Right.
I said I didn't know TJ was doing the ballroom and the step.
You didn't know TJ was doing a ballroom?
No, don't cuss him out. Don't cuss him out, Lane.
I didn't know. I know. Last time TJ was being dance was like hip hop dance and shit when we was in high school. That's
What?
It just transformed. That's all.
Hey, so look, we're gonna move on. On that note. On that note, we're gonna move on to the next topic at hand. So
hard segue.
We are
hard segue. That's funny.
Go with it, bro.
We are all sick of our commander-in-chief Donald Trump, but this brother, this guy is in the news again.
My commander-in-chief last name is Farrakhan.
Right.
Hey.
Maybe my president, your president. That nigga's not my president, motherfucker.
Hey,
however, Nate, run it, baby.
Hey, man, however you want to look at it, we live here in the United States of America, and the commander-in-chief is Donald Trump.
He is.
Whether we want to accept it or not, he is.
This is gonna be my. I don't give a. So
wake up, Link.
Fly right now. Go ahead.
What? Hello? What we doing?
Yeah.
You said Donald Trump. Like I started to take a nap. Donald Trump. Nap time for me.
Both of us together about taking that shit.
But y'all take a nap. But we're gonna keep on moving with this thing because actually,
and nonetheless,
with the recent news of Trump and Russia and the whole Putin thing, we got to talk about does it really affect us? Does it affect me and you in our everyday lives? I mean, this guy Putin has been invited to the White House in the fall.
I like that.
So we need to discuss it. What you think, Damon?
Really? Well, this will fall into my I don't give a fuck files. But I think that it's funny to me. The thing that catches me about this whole story is that it's like people are outraged about it and everything. So it's like you got this outrage that okay, Trump is being friends with Putin's or they're BFFs or they're hanging out together and everything like that, or and Russia interfere with the elections or whatever. But hey, I'm always been one of the persons who always felt like the election was always fucked up in the first place. Like the whole system is fucked up. So it's nothing new that the Russians interfered with it or anything. Actually, the Russians interfering with our elections is nothing new, period. So it's like to be making a big deal about it right now, I don't get the fake outrage. And even from people on like the Democratic side who feel like, oh yeah, the Russians interfered with the election, so he shouldn't be friends with this guy and everything like that. You know, Democrats were still saying that, well, Hillary Clinton got the popular vote, so she should be the president. But if she got the popular vote, didn't the truth still stands that the Russians interfered with the election? So it's like you can't have it both ways and say that, well, since our person didn't win, now it's like we're upset that the Russians interfered. But if your person did win, and which she did win the popular vote, you're upset that the Russians interfere. My whole thing is like, yo, the whole system is rigged. Whether it be popular vote, electoral college, whatever. Um, so it's like, why we give a fuck about Trump and Putin's relationship? I don't know. I don't get it.
So I would, man, I like your points. I would say, just to throw another twist in there, the same people that's riding with Trump, and his disagreeing with his own government intelligence publicly, that they don't think that that's unpatriotic, but they think that a man kneeling during the national anthem or not standing up for the national anthem is somehow unpatriotic. So I think we got to look at that angle as well.
Well, I mean, I'm not really a patriot, so I don't give a fuck what patriots do. I don't give a fuck what Tom Brady do. I don't give a fuck about patriots.
God bless you, D. So, God bless you. D is on the wave, almost.
That's just what it is, or whatever. So, however those patriots want to handle it, whatever they find patriotic or whatever, that's no concern to me.
Well, I'm gonna say this. To chime in on the point that you're making, Nate. One, let's be very, very clear about those people who would deem, say, a Colin Kaepernick unpatriotic and give Donald Trump a pass for what he just did in the past week. Not unpatriotic.
I think
we know that those people off of the rip. We know those people are racist in general. So we can dismiss that.
I think you got it flipped. What it is Donald Trump views Colin Kaepernick and any player who wants to protest as unpatriotic, but then he turns around and sides with Putin on the.
He's a hypocrite.
Hold on.
That's what it is. Because the people are upset at him. They are upset at Donald Trump and calling him unpatriotic. That's what it is.
I don't think I have it flipped at all. I mean, I get your point. Not to say that you're wrong, but Link, I don't think we have it flipped at all. Though I think what the elephant in the room that we're ignoring is that things like Colin Kaepernick kneeling, we're sort of kind of trying to put a spin on it that doesn't belong there. The actual thing that we need to point out in people that were, protesting against, say, a Colin Kaepernick, it had nothing to do with patriotism in the first place. It had to do with a bunch of racist people who wanted niggas to stay in their place. So we're talking about two different things when we talk about Colin Kaepernick kneeling versus, say, Donald Trump co-signing for Vladimir Putin. That's two different things. And we got to keep it in context and put that spin on it when we try to compare those two things together. No, when people had an issue with Colin Kaepernick and saying whatever it was they were saying and spewing all their little SY and T about patriotism, it really had nothing to do with patriotism. Now, you come full circle, and what Donald Trump said truly has to do with patriotism. You see what I'm saying?
So we got to make that the last word, and we will continue this conversation on the Bros Uncut fan page. Go to Facebook and check out Bros Uncut. We're going to move on to the main topic now. We were talking about on a previous show, we were talking about France winning the World Cup. And there was some discussion. I know, man, what's the one comedian's name that congratulated Africa for winning the World Cup? And there was a lot of backlash from France. They took offense to this comedian congratulating Africa for winning the World Cup. And they began to talk about how all the players, you know, their parents may have been born other places, but they are all but two players were actually born in France. And the topic of colonialism came up. So, brothers, what you think of that?
Who won it? Who won it?
I talked about the last two topics last time, which I know we probably may not even use that, but all I can say about this is that, you know, the backlash is well deserved coming to France, because once again it's hypocrisy. Same thing with Donald Trump, hypocrisy, because in France's case they've been very hard. They've been speaking out against immigration, trying to stop people from coming into their country, this, that, and the third, but yet they have a sports team that's successful, and they applaud and cheer that. They want the recognition from that. But that team is not indicative of the France that they are fighting to get or want to have. It's indicative of a France with a bunch of different immigrants there. So, you know, just hypocrisy.
And I'm going to piggyback on what Link is saying, because I think that is the main takeaway of why this is even a story. You know, had it not been for France's particular stance on the immigrants that they have, this wouldn't really even be a story. You know, it's okay. The way that it comes down is it's okay when you're doing things that make France look great. But in that same vein, if something comes about where it's not advantageous to uphold or uplift the immigrants that come into France, however they come, first generation, second generation, whatever, then at that particular point, you know, you want to lambaste them for whatever the atrocity may have been. So I ride with Link on that completely. I truly do. You know, you can't have it both ways. If we're good here, then we're good here. If we're not good here, then we're not good here. And you have to make up your mind. And France has not done that historically.
So that kind of takes us.
No, shit. Let me fucking respond. Fuck that. I've been quiet, listening to this shit for long enough. Now the reality is that is the motherfucking pattern of white supremacy. They will use any people, any indigenous, any people of color for their own fucking benefits and throw you the fuck away when you ain't fucking useful, and marginalize your humanity in the fucking process. That's a pattern that's been replicated for the last 1,000 years almost. So it should be nothing that we are any surprise. If we're surprised of it, we're not abreast of our history. That's the reality of the shit.
So just to your point, so we talked about the colonialism. We talked about we talked about how white supremacy globally, but let's talk about how countries like Zimbabwe and South Africa are actually taking the land back that was
expropriation.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that. And is that a new movement? Is that where we're going with it in the motherland of Africa? And can it be successful?
I think it. I mean, I must speak on that. I definitely think that it can be extremely successful, and it is being successful. But we have to be very patient and very highly observant at how the powers that be work with that, because they're going to white supremacy is going to always work in the interest of white people and global white domination. So they're going to do whatever they can to disenfranchise any process or any type of movement towards true African and Black independence level. So that's the first thing you got. Whenever you see some media talking some shit about the process, always keep in mind it's coming from the standpoint of white globalization and white supremacy.
I think it's very important to see how it plays out in those countries, just because other countries, including brothers and sisters here in the U.S., once we see it happen and have that, that possibility that, we can do this, that may encourage or inspire others to, do the same thing wherever they're at in the world. So that, and I also believe that if you have like one or two countries that are doing it, they shouldn't be the only ones doing it. I think globally there needs to be a movement of doing the same thing and like reclaiming your land and your society that you stay in and everything. But a lot of times it does take to see that one or two good examples of whatever of it being successful before others hop on the bandwagon and get it popping.
I want to say this.
Go ahead.
I want to say this. Only reason why is even any question about a country taking their land back from former colonizers or people who came to the country from colonial days or from some kind of migration along the lines of white people taking over a country is because those countries are black and the land is being taken from white people who migrated there and given back to people who are native there who are black. Israel is a government which was formed or created in sometime in the 40s, and they have been taking land back from the Palestinians whose original land that was, and I guess you could say re-expropriating whatever for ever since the 40s all the way up until now, and nobody's backlashing Israel other than those people who have the Palestinians plight, which is not the mainstream media and not a lot of the world condemning or saying anything negative. It's just only when black people taking their land back do you hear this kind of is this right type argument.
That's so true. And that once again, I mean, nobody really answers those hard questions about why is that Israel gets more aid than any other country in the world, and it's one of the smallest countries in the world, and it's one of the richest countries in the world, but they still get more aid than countries that need way, way more money. There's a lot of other stuff Israel gets that other countries don't get. So people don't ask those hard questions and recognize the system for what it is and the white globalization that exists, and the idea that even in Israel, they are oppressing black people. They oppress the black Jewish people, the Ethiopians and the Somalians and other black Africans, East Africans that live there that are also Jewish people. They oppress them like we're oppressed here in America. So it's a lot of contradictions that nobody is heightening because they, of course, like Kyrie said, the media does not highlight those truths. Because no, if you think about it, not think about it, we know anything. We all know. White man is never shown to ever be guilty of anything. Even if history tells it and shows it, he's never been had to be accountable for any of his bullshit. That's just the MO.
So
Even
I'd like to get one more topic in that we didn't really discuss beforehand, but I would like to get another topic in. But before we move on, I'd like to ask, how do we bring that type of spirit back to United States, where we take back the hood, we take back the neighborhoods? How do we prevent gentrification in our neighborhoods? And how do we make our neighborhoods prosperous and flow, and not just a place for crime and for poverty?
Money.
Money and men. Money and men. If real men come back to the neighborhoods and don't tolerate that shit, it'll fucking happen. Niggas
Yeah.
gotta stop being a fucking afraid. You bring men have always been the ones who have solidified communities and neighborhoods. Strong men. It's only if you go up and down the block, my block, for example, you might find one dumbass fucking motherfucker on that whole block. That one dumb motherfucker's got the whole block scared. No, it should be the opposite. It should be 99 motherfuckers, two people afraid. So that's where the men have to stand up. Also, you have to change. You have to bring a nationhood. If you want to be like a nation like Zimbabwe or South Africa, who are thinking more about black independence, we have to start to have more of a nationalistic mentality of ownership, that we are a nation within a nation. And that will begin to build a pride. That's why you got to represent colors, those flag colors, which Marcus Garvey brought for us.
So all the brothers on this call know that I'm the type of person where it's cool to speak in theory, but theory has gotten us nowhere. So
yeah, I don't see what Karanji just said had to do with gentrification.
We gotta talk more about real solutions that we can actually apply right now.
Taking back the neighborhood, in my humble opinion, begins with a mentality more so than money. I don't think. I think the money comes later. The money can come from people pooling their resources. That comes from people uniting. Unity comes from a change in mindset. A change in mindset comes from education. So, those of us who have the knowledge, who have some form of knowledge, like myself, I go out and talk to people in the community, talk to people online, talk to people in public. You got to start giving them, preaching to them or teaching to them, I guess, ideas that will help them to start thinking about coming together, policing your own neighborhood, making your own neighborhood a clean and safe place to live. That's something that we push in the nation. We've been going out in the street every Monday night talking to people, and trying to make our community as safe. Emphasis on safe. You know what I'm saying? And to a degree, I'm agreeing with Karanji on, because it's the men who have to step forward and take up that mantle and that responsibility. But it's hard to unite when you and I are not treating each other with justice and equality, and we're not treating each other right. So again, all this is mindset. So it takes brothers who know and who have that knowledge to go out and talk to brothers that don't, and just to constantly do it, even though you may not see a change, and then start putting. Then from there, you can start sitting down. Once me and you, and once all four of us begin to agree with an idea brought forth by a person like this podcast, we can then sit down and plan it. And then now, after days and days of planning, now it's materialized. That's the same way anything get done. You know what I'm saying?
But I think all of that has been going on for decades after decades now, generation after generation, and we haven't made any progress. Actually, we're digressing.
I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, okay, so what? So we know how things come about. They don't come about through thought. You know what I'm saying? If they come about, and when they haven't come about yet, even though people been doing it for tens of decades, what do? Stop?
I disagree. Let me interject right there. I don't think it's been going on in our generation Our generation is by far the most selfish generation ever. One of the most selfish, self-centered generations. Our parents' generation and the one before them, they was doing it, but I'm gonna quote my auntie. My auntie is 70 years old. She's turned 70. She said, to be honest, she said we kind of dropped the ball for our generation. We forgot to teach you guys that the struggle was not over. So we thought we were gonna just give y'all education, get y'all, help y'all teach y'all to get good jobs, but not teach y'all the idea that the struggle for unification of black people was still not over. And so she said, because of that, we became a selfish generation. So all most of us care about is our motherfucking self and our fucking money. We
I
don't
could
have that
argue.
collect.
I could argue.
We,
I could argue that
yeah,
we have not had no progress since, in our decades and decades of the black community.
That's
We've
my
had
point.
progress. We have had progress.
Oh,
no, but
Only in
but
modern
before
times have you seen
before
a regress.
right,
If you
that's what
go
I'm saying,
back
right.
past the 80s, if you go past the 80s
That's what
into
I'm
the
saying.
70s and 60s, you have progress, and you had
Right,
that
that's what I'm
mindset.
saying. So our parents, it stopped right around the 70s, 80s. But
and
once
that
we
and that
grew up, our
corresponds with
generation,
drugs. It corresponds with the government
drugs,
and people
I think
purposefully
drugs, and
derailing our economics, derailing our unity, derailing our community,
that was
derailing
part
the
of it. That was
mindset of
part of
unity.
it. That was also a big part of it. Also was us buying into the idea of rugged individualism and the right idea of buying into many of our oppressors' ways. We had given up a lot of our African centered ways of thinking and doing in the 70s that we had bought into. We started in the 80s, we started to get into all this Jerry curl, all this plastic bullshit, like it became really materialism and all that other bullshit. We gave up a lot of unity and solidarity for material things and for the white man's American dream that never was always been a nightmare for us.
Hey Damon,
We should have had our we
I'm gonna give you the last word
we
on
should
this, and we're gonna
we should
move
have
forward.
we should have
Damon,
had
what
our
you
own we should have had our
no,
own
just
dream. What I'm saying, we should have kept our own dream.
got you?
just
Shit.
I'm not even gonna take the last word because I just want to ask. I want to give Link the opportunity to answer this question since is education is going to bring back the unity. How do we start educating people? And I know that you and the brothers y'all go out there once a week and everything into the community and preach safety and everything. But have you seen that really make a tangible change in how we're going to stop gentrification, or is it just I understand that it's a process to all big concept things like this, but so are we looking at a 50-year plan, 100-year plan, like what are we looking at?
Gentrification is a little bit different. Making
That
your
was the point you
neighborhood
made.
making your neighborhood a clean and safe place to live and working together in unity is a little bit different than gentrification. Gentrification is stopped by ownership
Right, which is
because
money.
the people who have, well, it don't have to be money. It has to be a mindset because the same money is flowing. Believe it or not, through the black community. It's just the mindset is all wrong. So it doesn't lead to ownership. And that all that is it's a function of education, but not education in the school. You know what I'm saying? It's
Well,
education that enlightened individuals have to give to individuals who aren't enlightened,
let
and it,
me
it take outreach.
let me interject real quick because gentrification definitely ties in because what happens is the from the hood feel like the hood's not safe, so they move out the hood. And so there leaves a void, and so
But
that's where you get.
that is not quite gentrification. That
Hold on,
you're
that's the
describing
beginning.
flight. That's
No,
either
no, no.
black flight or white flight.
Yeah, but that's the beginning of gentrification because you got to
No, no,
move.
no, sir.
Absolutely, the people got to move out
No,
before the white people move in.
no, sir. Gentrification starts when people
Forced
are
out.
deciding to come into a community and they are purchasing property, renovating property, making property more expensive with an idea of I'm going to start selling things at a price higher than the people existing in that neighborhood can afford. Money comes into an area
You can't do
regardless.
that. You can't do that unless the people move out the
No,
neighborhood.
you can absolutely do that if the
You
people
can.
don't own. If the people don't own, you can do it whether they moving in or out or is it fully occupied or not.
Right.
But
The ownership is the part.
you
You
Ownership.
see the
saw in
signs all the
Detroit,
time. We
Ownership.
buy houses.
Ownership. What you talk about, Nate? So, like for example, when you moved out, whatever you moved out, they moved out. If you still own the house, you still had a property, you still had a power in that neighborhood. But if
No, no,
y'all sold the
look.
house and sold the property, then you lose a lot of that power. Now, if you
Another thing
sell
I
it to
do is I do commercial real estate. Like you know what I'm saying? That's another thing I do. A place don't have to be vacant for it to be gentrification. All I had to do is change ownership. Because a place can be fully occupied, right? It's a low income spot, right? A new person buy it, say, look, I got a plan. I'm about to raise all these rents up high and get more revenue out of this place. So slowly but surely, they start all them short-term leases. They don't renew them. They raise the prices on the vacant joints, and when the prices start raising up incrementally, a
that's
year after
exactly
year,
what
the
happened
people
downtown
start to
Detroit.
move out. And then when they
Right. That's what
move
happened with
out,
the
you re-rent it at a higher price, and pretty soon
right.
this building is worth a lot more. So this neighborhood becomes worth more. These other buildings start going into that same mold, and people who can't afford have to move out, and then people who can afford move in. And that's how you get gentrification.
Right.
And
That's
all
what
that
happened
comes
downtown
down to
Detroit
money.
with that that senior citizens housing. They kicked out almost about 400 black people, old elders, our elders who we don't protect. We don't protect our elders unless they fucking are in our family. We barely protect the ones in our family. They kicked them out the house, the apartments, and made them like they gave them 90 days to move out, and because the
Hmm.
property was bought,
This is under
and
new management, under new ownership. We're changing things.
under new
Yep.
ownership, right? And so as a result, they were forced out. That's why it's so important for the black people who went out to these neighborhoods, these white neighborhoods, that they could not gentrify. We wasn't gentrifying their neighborhoods because as soon as we move in, as soon as the population of black people goes over 5% in a white neighborhood, the property value drops. That's why they move out when there's too many of us. Because their property value drops no matter how good of people you are. To them, we are devaluers.
I would actually I
And
would have to
so
disagree with you
once
there
we start moving
because
out, we
hey, Karanji, I gotta disagree with you
it's a
that the
fact,
property
bro.
value
Look it up.
drops.
Look it
It's
up. It's
not
a
a
fact.
it's not a
Look it up.
fact,
It's a
bro.
fact.
Look at PG County in Maryland, man. The property values
Yes, it
there
is.
are
We have
ridiculously
no,
high,
bro.
and that's a majority black. Oh,
No. Listen, PG County values are high for black people. No white people live there hardly. Now go to Montgomery County. Hey, it's mostly white. Montgomery County is white, and there's no less than 5% of black people live in Montgomery County. So just check it out. PG,
but what
that's
you
like
said was once you got over 5%, that the property values drop, and I gotta
the property
disagree
value
with you.
did drop. It dropped lower commensurately than it was when white people were there. It's high for black people. That's like saying if you go to the Sherwood Forest, the property values are higher than they are, let's say, on Joy Road in motherfucking Southfield. Of course they're higher value, bigger houses. Take them same houses and put in
Man,
Birmingham, though.
have you
Listen,
been
you
to
take them same
PG
houses.
County, Maryland?
Yes, I have. If you take them same
Have you
houses
seen those
and put them in
houses,
Montgomery,
man, and how
listen,
much
yes,
they
I
are
have.
like?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. If you take those same houses and put them in Montgomery County, them houses will go three times as much. I promise you. Take them same houses and put them in Washington, D.C., in the white neighborhoods in the city of Washington, D.C., them houses go up 5 times the value. It's like you got Southfield. Southfield got high property values compared to Detroit. Yeah, they do. But it ain't
I
There
gotta
is
compared to
disagree with
there.
you
Birmingham. It
because
ain't
the
Let me say
houses.
it
this.
ain't they should
Let
compared
me
to
say this.
Birmingham. Birmingham houses is way more expensive than all that
Let
shit.
me say this with real estate and property value and the value of markets is what we're talking about. There is some racism and some play going on, like some BS with it. You know what I'm saying? Like what this is worth here and this is worth there. There's some play and some white supremacy going on all the way back to redlining, like with the values of things and who lives where and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I agree, but I just don't think you can make a blanket statement that the minute that the
Research it,
property
brother.
goes, the minute
Research
the
it.
population goes over 5%, that the property values drop. I don't think you can
Research.
make
I
a
want you.
blanket statement.
I'm a social. I researched it already, so
Is
I'm
that
not
wait a minute,
teaching this.
Karanji? What are you saying? Be clear, because I don't think he's saying
I'm
that.
saying. Right. What I'm saying is in a white community. Let's say, for example, we have Birmingham. If you increase the population of black in that particular community over 5 to 10%, the property value drops in those communities. It does drop. That's a statistical fact.
Okay, well, how about you put? Can you put those facts on the page?
Yeah,
Because
I'll
I
bring it up.
like to
I'll
see
bring it
what
up.
you.
Yeah, I'll bring
Yeah.
it up. I read the article several years ago. It was talking about the correlation between black population increase versus popular property
Property values
value,
dropping.
and why property value dropping, because they if you
That's interesting.
All right, guys.
once
We'll drop it on our drop it on the Bros Uncut page, and we can continue this conversation there. Now, in the interest of time, we did kind of run out of time. I wanted this conversation to play out. However, I did want one more topic, and we may have to cover it on our next podcast. But I wanted to talk about this term, these new terms that seem to be prevalent in media and social media in our society now. Rape culture and toxic masculinity. Like, these are words that to me are very new, and some of the things that are considered, quote, rape culture are just things that are just maybe disrespectful, but I wouldn't say it leads to rape. And then toxic masculinity sounds like being a man is toxic.
Bruh, look, rape culture to me, that's fair game. You want to make up a word, rape culture, you want to describe crap that's been going on to women for years and all that, that's fine. I'm accepting rape culture as a term. Toxic masculinity, I take offense to as a man. I think masculinity in its true form is manhood. I think that's real masculinity. And then manhood and masculinity, they may be separate things, but to me, they the same, or they one leads to the other or whatever. And I don't like you saying anything is toxic about my nature. You know what I'm saying? I understand where they're coming from, but that's your perspective as a female with an agenda or a person with an agenda against masculinity. There's an all out assault on masculinity, or should I say specifically black male masculinity in America right now. There's an all out assault. The black man has always been the most hated and always been the one with the target on his back, always been the one they wanted to get rid of, always the one who's last, always the one who means
Yep.
nothing in the society. So, with all that being said, this is just the next millennial page in trying to destroy black male masculinity. There's a brother in the nation named Wesley Muhammad, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Google his name, look up. He has written several books and videos on the attack on black male masculinity. It's a must read. I would encourage everybody to check that out.
I definitely
Yeah,
think
Damon.
that we need to carry this on to the next episode, because this is a huge topic that's really prevalent in today's society, and we need to really go in depth and go deep when we discuss it.
Dr. Francis Cress Wilson talks about it as well. Talks about the assault.
That's
on
correct.
The black male.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get into that. That's something for our listeners and subscribers to look forward to. So at this point, we're going to turn it over to Karanji to give us a quick health moment.
What up, fam? What up, fam? Get your steps in every day, people. A lot of our health has to do with walking. If you walk, you know, if you go to the grocery store, instead of parking close up, park a little further away, get a couple steps. Instead of when you go into the corner store, don't drive to the corner store, either ride your bike or walk to the corner store. I know some of y'all might live in communities that might not have corner stores anymore, but if they do, take you a little walk. Even if it's a mile or less, or a mile and a half, get you a little walk in. The next thing I would say also is to get adequate rest. I think that is one of the least appreciated things and least done things is getting adequate rest. People may eat right, but if you're not getting adequate rest, that means try to get 7 hours at the very least. But I say 8 hours of sleep a night. That's the only time your body has a time to heal itself, to repair all the damage you've done to it, to properly digest your food and all those things. So make sure you're getting adequate rest and getting some walks, some steps in today. That's it.
All right, thanks, Karanji. And last but not least, we're going to leave you with a motivational moment. Today, we're going to just talk about the power of the decision. So we all make choices in life. We all have opportunities to make decisions. Understand that one bad decision does not ruin your life, but also decide to do something different. If you're not happy with how your life is going, if you're not happy with the circumstances of your life right now, decide to do something different, because what you've been doing is getting you what you got. So if you do something different, the chances of you getting something different are greater. And so this has been another episode of Bros Uncut. We out of here.
Peace.
I'm out. All right, y'all. Holla.